get close, y'all. Gardening is my dream. I'm gonna have to check my male to female ratio. Cause what in the world? Like, I was married to Fishy Motion, y'all. She's beautiful. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. And this morning we are going to finally do the garden in review. Y'all, we got so much rain yesterday. I think they said we got 5+ inches of rain yesterday. It rained and it rained and it rained. It flooded in different places. My daughter doesn't have school today because her school got damaged in the rain. Another school is completely closed for the rest of the week. We got so much rain yesterday. I was so nervous. I know the garden is going to love it. The weeds gonna love it too. But I know the garden is gonna love it. I'm pouring this water off of my seedlings. I'm hoping that the sun will come out today because that's gonna really like boost these seedlings. They've been outside. Since I've up potted them, they've been outside, so I'm not gonna have to worry about hardening them off or anything. Pretty excited about that, although I don't do hardening off the normal way anyway, all of that bringing it out and bringing it back in. I don't do none of that. So with that being the case, it wouldn't have been too bad for me anyway, but I also can see that some of these are having like some issues with moisture, which is why I should have my greenhouse up by now. But a part of the gardening review is I don't have my greenhouse up, which was a plan that I had earlier this season. Like I said, I've had my greenhouse, well, if you're new here, I ordered a greenhouse from Vego Garden and I've had it for probably a month, if not more. The greenhouse is not up, but you will be happy to know that I did finally contact my sister's boyfriend. I texted him yesterday and I was like, I was delusional in thinking that I was going to put this up by myself. He was like, you good. So he is going to let me know when he can help me. Yeah, these seedlings got some major water issues going on with them. We're gonna see what they look like this evening. And if they still look like this, we probably gonna take them in the house because they got pummeled last night. Not in the house. They going in one of these other greenhouses just to dry out a little bit. My goodness gracious. Yeah, you can tell they got some water. I'm gonna show y'all what I mean. It rained. It's been raining since I put them outside, honestly. Definitely should have gotten the greenhouse put up, but it's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, honestly, I can go to one of my local stores and get flats of seedlings for $15 a flat, and you get a full flat. I mean, I don't want to do that, but at the end of the day, if I have to, I will. But let me show y'all these seedlings real quick. So like right here, you see that? That is a moisture issue. See how it's kind of translucent? You got a little bit of soil on the back, but that's not why that leaf look like that. That leaf looks like that because it's getting way too much water. So here's the thing, we're gonna leave it, see what happens today. I do believe it's saying we should have some sun, but you see right there? I mean, like they're laid down on the soil. That's how much rain we got. By the way, this is full from yesterday, y'all. From yesterday, look at that. I'm pretty sure it's from yesterday. It might have been, I mean, maybe the day before it rained too. Either way, it would be 2 days, it filled this whole thing up. Like, that's crazy. So anyway, I came out here to make sure I poured the water off of these seedlings, and the Swiss chart, I'm pretty sure that's probably gone. Look at all the water. It was full of water, but I won't coming out here to try to save it. So hopefully the sun will come out and help us. Yeah, that's crazy work. But such is life. It happens sometimes. I did not have the space for these inside. By the way, y'all, when I brought those dinosaur kale outside, if you're new here, I potted up my seedlings and brought them all outside. When I brought the dinosaur kale outside, Lacianato kale, whichever one you call it, I forgot to water them. They all died. I started the seeds again in the house. So it is what it is. Also, let me show you something. Now these look much better. So these are broccoli. The ones I just showed you was broccoli too. So these look much better. I don't know. I'm trying to see why they would look better, but it's all right. I'm not tripping, y'all. I'm not tripping. At the end of the day, as I said, there's nothing wrong with buying seedlings. You can start your own seedlings, but there's nothing wrong with buying them. And I've always said that if I have to buy them, I have to buy them, and that'll be fine. I do know I can get green magic broccoli, so that's a plus. That's the main thing. I really want that variety. The Katarina cabbage, I don't know about that, but the Katarina cabbage is over here, so they should be fine. Anyway, we're supposed to be reviewing the garden, and would y'all believe I took notes for myself so that we can go through a full review of the 2026 summer garden along with my goals. If y'all remember early in the season, I had talked about goals in I think my Spring Me Please series. I had goals this year, I really did. And that's how I tried to plant my garden out. But I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all. I did not hit most of these goals, and I changed them halfway through the season as I was seeing like what my production was, what I was harvesting, what I was bringing in. And I think that that's okay, because if you want to change your goal to make yourself continue to move forward, that's not why I did it. Like, I did it because, being realistic, I was like, I'm not going to get a year's worth of this or a year's worth of that. So I was like, okay, let's revamp these goals and try to shoot for those. And then next year we can try to shoot for a year again. So let's first talk through my goals, and then we're going to start moving through the garden, right? So we're not going to take a lot of time here. We're going to talk about the goals. We're going to talk about whether I switched it. If I switched it, I heard something. I don't know what it was. If I switched it, and if I think I'm still gonna hit the new goal, right? Okay, so the first goal was tomato-based products for a year. We all know that did not happen. And so I honestly think we're probably going to just shoot for tomato sauce for 6 months. That's what I changed it to. Not I think, that is what I changed it to. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because we eat tomato sauce a lot. That's what we eat. We like salsa. I think that barbecue sauce is made a hummingbird. I think that barbecue sauce has some tomatoes in it. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure it has peppers in it too, or that's hot sauce. Y'all, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is we eat tomato sauce, like for spaghetti, for soups, things like that. That's what we eat more than the other things. So we're shooting for 6 months worth of tomato sauce. And the way that I'm figuring it is I want to be able to use one thing of tomato sauce at least once a week for 6 months. So that's what I'm shooting for. Right now, I think I have a total of 6 bags of tomato sauce in the freezer. So here's the thing. If I had tomatoes that were diseased, like had a little bit of disease on it or some kind of pest pressure, I went ahead, or splitting, I went ahead and processed them. I did not put them in the freezer. So we have a bunch of bags of tomatoes in the freezer. But as it relates to actual sauce, we have 6 bags already. So we are 6 weeks in at this point. We have 6 weeks worth of tomato sauce, and I'm excited. And that's how I'm deciding how much I'm growing. I'm saying I want to be able to use this much in a week for this long. And so I'm doing 6 months worth of tomato sauce. Next thing was green beans and black beans for a year. We didn't get close, y'all. We didn't get close. We got 1 jar, one of the larger jars, I guess maybe a half a gallon. I'm not really sure what size jar that is. I'll look it up and put it on the screen. But I got 1 jar full, essentially, so of black beans. And the green beans, we got 1 bag, 1 gallon bag of green beans, because we ate them fresh and I was preserving them. Problem we ran into this year was the purple potted pole beans. Something just devoured them. I planted them twice, and every time they got devoured, which has never happened before. And that's okay, because I also planted bush beans, which is how we've been able to eat them fresh, and I've been able to preserve 1 gallon bag. Now, I will tell you, I am thinking, I'm gonna count my days to my first frost. I am thinking I'm gonna plant one of these green stalks with another round of bush beans. If I'm gonna do it, I need to do it soon. Maybe I can get a little more into the freezer. I'm not sure, y'all. But the good thing is my family prefers the fall vegetables, so the collards, the kales, the broccoli, that kind of stuff. So even if I don't get a lot of beans, it's okay. I like the beans more than my kids do. So we did not hit our bean goal for black beans or for regular green beans, and that's okay. So we had pepper, garlic, onion seasoning for 6 months. We all know we didn't hit that because the garlic, either it rotted or it ended up getting allium leaf miner, and we did get a small harvest of garlic. However, it was not enough to make this for 6 months. And so it's okay. Same thing with the onions. They succumbed to the allium leaf miner, or they rotted over the super cold, icy, wet winter. So we didn't get that, but we will. And peppers, we had aphids and ants the whole time too. And then the ones that were ripening ended up having some kind of pest pressure or sun scald. So that is what it is. But next year we're not doing green peppers that we want to ripen to red, orange, or yellow. We're not doing that. We're just gonna find a nice red variety and a nice yellow variety, probably maybe an orange, that gets a nice size where I don't have to wait so long for them to turn, because that did not go well. That did not go well. I didn't like that idea. Oh my goodness, one of my quail, or all of them, are yelling all at the same time. It's pretty early in the morning too, so just so you know. Okay, oregano, thyme, rosemary, chives for a year. I do think I'm gonna hit that. Not the rosemary though. So I'm thinking I need to put rosemary somewhere else. If you remember, I had a nice one in the orchard area, but when I got tired of the orchard area, I pulled everything out of that orchard area, y'all. I started with the herbs and then I ended up taking out the trees and stuff. So we only have one rosemary in our green stock, and that is taking a while to get going. So I do think that I'm going to end up planting another rosemary plant, or maybe 2 rosemary plants somewhere else in the garden. But as far as the oregano, thyme, and chives, I do think that I am going to be able to have these for a year. I just did a huge herb harvest. I put pictures on the screen maybe, or maybe I just posted over in the community section. I'm really not sure. Either way, I just did a huge harvest and preservation of them as well. And so I'm doing butters, I'm doing oils, I'm just drying them, I'm doing salts. I'm doing all different kinds of ways to preserve my herbs this year. Jellies and jams for 6 months. I have not harvested the muscadine grapes yet. And so with that being the case, I don't know if we will get close or are close, because I haven't been able to harvest them yet. What I did do was get a steamer so that I could get the juice out easy. So I'm excited to use that for the first time this year, because there are a lot of grapes on this vine. And so I just wanted to see if I could do it an easier way than like doing the water and straining it out and all of that stuff. So I did buy a steamer from Amazon. And I think I told y'all before, Sage and Stone has one, and I asked her if she used them for the muscadine grapes. Heather at Sage and Stone has one. I don't know why I say that. It's just easier for people to find if I say Sage and Stone. Anyway, sorry y'all. She said yes, so I purchased it because I'm hopeful, because that muscadine grape jam, jelly, whichever one it ended up being, I'm really not sure. It was delicious. And I think I ended up with like 6 or 7 jars last year, and year before last, I think. I don't think that was last year. And I was gonna give it away thinking we weren't gonna use it. We used it. It was delicious. And then my last thing was peppers preserved for a year. That didn't happen. Not gonna happen. If I'm honest, I'm ready to pull them pepper plants out. The ones with the ants and aphids. But actually, they've moved on. They've moved on. It's August. Been here all year and they moved on. But exciting news. I'm excited. I was going to buy them anyway. Hoselink, I'm very, very thankful. They are sponsoring the block bed redos, y'all. So super excited. But what I was about to say is I have to start clearing this spot out, getting the blocks out. I think I'm just going to kind of clear that area to make it easier for me to get them up. My son is going to help me with the blocks. I asked him already. So he's going to help me with the blocks. It's going to give me way more space. So I do want to thank Hoselink for, sponsoring this redo, and I'm going to do a whole video on it. I'm super excited, y'all. I'm not going to tell no untruths. This has been the section of the garden. So a garden in review, what we're talking about. Let me take y'all over there. Baby, my neighbor's going to end up being like, girl, what in the world? I don't remember, or maybe I didn't have that many males out here. They are hollering, and it feels like constantly, y'all. It feels like constantly. This is just me being honest and transparent about that too. I don't think I had that many male at one time before. Baby, they are hollering. I think I maybe had 1 to 2. Maybe 2 to 3 males total. I never remember them hollering like that. My neighbor's gonna say something in a minute, I think. That's what I think. Anyway, so the garden in review this year, the block beds really tested me. And I don't want to say tested in a bad way, but just like the bending over, the stooping down. And that's why I love these beds. I really do think that they give my garden some character. Like I've had them since I started my garden. This was literally the first one. But this year I realized, like, for me at this point in my life, I can't do this anymore. And yes, absolutely, I could have gotten more bricks and I could have stacked them up. But if I don't want to stoop because it hurts my knees, and I don't want to bend because it hurts my back. Imagine me going to the store to get a bunch of bricks to stack them up. Not gonna happen. So with that being the case, me and my son, I am going to help him. Like, I don't want to. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't want to. It feels like it's just gonna be my body hurting, right? And he doesn't care whether I help or not, but at the same time, as I always say, this is my dream. Gardening is my dream. So with that being the case, I'm going to help him. I don't want to, though. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. Anyway. We're gonna start taking these bricks and stuff down. I don't know what that means for my cattle panel trellises and these T-posts. I'm hoping that just like I did with the other beds, I could just slide these beds around them. I don't know if that's the case or not, but the beds are going to be taken out hopefully this week. I asked him to help me today. I don't know if he's gonna help me today or not because I know he got to go to work later. But hopefully we start taking these out today. I'm gonna move these bags, so we might end up losing the cucumbers because they are literally just vining. And so in order to make this an easy process, I need to move the purple Bootstrap Farmer bags. So we'll see how that goes, y'all. And that also goes for these tomatoes right here. Probably gonna end up losing these tomato plants. I'm really not 100% sure. I don't actually wanna pull these out yet because they are still producing very nicely. These are, I'm pretty sure, the Supremos. They're producing nicely, but they also have, you know, a little bit of disease on them. So I'm like, does it even matter? However, I want all the tomatoes I can get because even though, oh yeah, like that one, wouldn't be using it anyway. I'm gonna give that to my girl. I got her a little tray out here that I throw food into since I can't just throw it. Well, I was just throwing it into the yard. That got ridiculous and the flies did too. So with that being the case, baby, we didn't stop doing that. Also, got ants and aphids. Well, really just aphids on the corn. It's really just aphids on the corn, but I sprayed it yesterday. Well, day before yesterday. So I will tell y'all, if you get to the aphids before the ants find them, it is pretty simple to get them off of the plant, and it takes a little while for them to come back, but we're gonna spray that again today. So that's the block beds. They are going to get a redo with some sage green hose link beds. I'm very, very excited. Oh, also the other bed is still being eroded, but I have someone come in to give me a quote on cleaning the gutters. And it would be great, honestly, if I got these block beds out of here and stuff and move those bags, because it would be much easier for that person to clean the gutters once I do that. So that's a plus too. Yeah, my neighbor's gonna report me, babe. That's crazy. All right, so let's talk about the trellises, the tomato trellises that I tried this year. When I tell y'all, I did so much less work, literally 100% less work. Okay, let's say 5% less work because I had to put the trellises up, zip tie them together, whatever. I did no, 95%, not 5%. I had to do the 5% of work, but I did 95% less work, y'all, than I have done in past years to keep the tomatoes trellised, to keep the peppers in the bag and from falling over. Absolutely loved all of them except for one. And if you've been here for a while, you already know which one that is. But let's go take a look. Okay, so I'm trying to find the easiest way to get to whatever. Oh, well, we can start right here. This is a cattle panel trellis. It is being held up with T-posts. First place I ever saw this was on Roots and Refuge over on Jess's channel, right? And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I want those. And then I had to figure out how to get them to my house. And I never grew tomatoes on them. I've had these trellises for quite some time. Still absolutely love them. I think they were worth every penny that I paid for them, right? But this I had never done. I had never grown tomatoes on a cattle panel trellis. I did this year and they did amazing. Even once they got too big, like they're falling over and off of the trellis, but it was a very viable option. And I told y'all I'm gonna lift it up so that the tomatoes have more space to go up as I am growing them throughout the season, but it was a very viable option. I did attach them to the trellis throughout the season, but after a while I stopped because they got to the top. But again, if I lift this up a little bit higher, this would be amazing amazing. So cattle panel, absolutely a win. And then you come over here to the peppers, where I use tomato cages. Y'all told me, like, put them in tomato cages. This was absolutely amazing. So these cages get a bad rap. They say don't use them, like they're not worth the money. They're definitely not worth the money for a indeterminate tomato. For a determinate tomato and for peppers, they absolutely work. I zip tied mine together. They're in bags, so that made them even more stable, and they worked absolutely amazingly. I did not have to stake one pepper this year, and normally I have to come through with like bamboo stakes or like pieces of old greenhouses to stake them up and tie them to it and da 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 da. I didn't have to do that this year. The tomato cages were amazing for peppers, and they were also amazing for tomatoes. So these are determinate tomatoes. They are Italian Roma tomatoes that I put into these cages. Also zip tied them together in bags. This was amazing. I have not had to do any kind of like upkeep as it relates to them falling over all season long. This saved me time. So I'm just telling you now, this was absolutely the cheapest option. So I'm telling you, the cheapest option worked well. In bags, I don't know what this looks like in a garden bed. I don't know what this looks like, you know, in ground. But in bags, yeah, this worked out amazingly. So if it's something that you're looking into and you want a way to trellis your tomatoes, your determinate tomatoes, don't forget that. They got to be determinate, because I don't think they would do great with an indeterminate variety. The cages work really well. It's so muddy. It's so muddy. You want to know why it's muddy? And this is not a bad thing, but it is something that happened. The wood chips have started to break down. Look at that. That's soil. Look at that. That's why it's so muddy, because now where we did have wood chips, we now have soil. So that's a problem. Because the whole point of the wood chips was because I wanted it was helping with the muddiness that I got when it rained, because my property is not level. Y'all, it's a bunch of cucumbers out here I need to come get. Oh, look at this. That jank is huge. It's another one back there. Y'all see it? Anyway, I need to come harvest cucumbers. All right, well, good to know. Like I said, it's been raining. Anyway, so I got to figure that out. Really need to figure that out. Oh, the weeds are outrageous over here. Outrageous. Look at that. Totally unfortunate. Totally unfortunate. But oh my goodness. So this is why. Oh, what is growing in here? Oh goodness. I ain't planting nothing. Anyway, y'all. This is so outrageous. And if I had like taken the time to put the mulch on, it really would not have been this bad, but it is what it is at this point. Okay, the next trellising option I used for tomatoes was this Horton Nova trellising from Haas Tools. It was absolutely amazing. You can't tell now because we got a bunch of dead stuff in here, and you can't tell that this was an amazing trellis. The trellis is still here, still pretty tight. If you've been watching, you already know I didn't have any problem with the tomatoes back here as long as I remembered to attach them to the trellis. So if the tomato cages were the cheapest option, this is probably the next option up that's not going to cost you a lot of money. And I did like that too. And then the cattle panel is going to be the most expensive, but absolutely worth it. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. Absolutely worth it. But the other options I just showed you works just as well. Now, the option that I dislike the most and will find use for it, just not for tomato plants, maybe for pepper plants, and maybe, I don't know. Anyway, let me just show y'all what I'm talking about. These right here. Let's get a little bit closer. Absolutely did not like them for tomatoes. Not saying they won't work well for something else. Maybe, like I said, peppers, maybe even putting them with cucumbers and the cucumbers can come up them. But for tomatoes, this was not it. Cucumbers, beans, peas, maybe. But for tomatoes, this was not it. And you really can't see. But what you can see is tomato plants everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. No rhyme or reason. Also, these tomato plants, as I thought I looked up, were supposed to be determinants. They may also be indeterminates. And if that is the case, that's probably the reason as well. Either way, lots of tomatoes still left in here. Won't be pulling them anytime soon. But this absolutely was not my favorite, and I would never use them for tomatoes again. So on to our next thing to review. Okay, tomatoes, peppers, beans. How do I think I did with my planning for that? So I think for the tomatoes, I did really well with my planning. I think that I'll definitely do more Cherokee purples and a white variety because I didn't get nearly as many Cherokee purples as I wanted. The ones in the greenhouse were in the back. I didn't realize that we didn't have good airflow in the back of the greenhouse, so they died pretty quickly. And then the ones that were out in the garden in bags, they died really quickly, and I don't know why. But okay, well, let me take that back. At a point, I was not watering well, and I think that that definitely played a role. It's very loud out here. Now the trash truck, I think it's the recycling truck, is coming through, y'all. I live in an urban space, and those quail are just those quail. And that don't have nothing to do with the area. And then there's something going on over here, too. I think they're working on the street. So I hope that the mic is helping, but I don't know. So the tomatoes, okay, and then like the varieties that I picked to be back in the garden is Supremos, also the patio tomatoes. Someone said that, I guess I was confusing them because I was saying patio, but then I said I didn't like patio. I didn't like the patio yellow, the little tiny ones. They absolutely will not be back. The cherry tomatoes absolutely won't be back next year. Gotta look for different varieties to put into the green stalks because those won't be coming back. I am talking about the regular red patio tomatoes. They didn't have any other name other than patio when I got them from my local store. And they are actually red, and they actually give you a nice medium-sized tomato. So the patio tomatoes are coming back. The Supremos are coming back. The Italian Roma is coming back. And it was something else. Oh, the Early Girl. So next year, the 4 red varieties that I'm gonna grow is patio, Supremo, Early Girl, and Italian Roma varieties, right? That's crazy. I don't know if I'm gonna see how many males I have to females. I checked the ratio, but maybe I was off a little bit. I don't think I have enough to have enough quail that's gonna holler like this all day. I don't know. I need to go check. And maybe some of them were young, and maybe I thought they were female and they were male. I need to go check though, because my goodness gracious, y'all, they've been hollering this whole entire video, which is not a bad thing, but I'm in perimenopause and different sounds really pluck my nerve. That's coming back to back, y'all. Now I started talking about it and they stopped. But I'm gonna have to check my male to female ratio. Cause what in the world? Anyway, sorry, what was we talking about? So those are the 4. Might I dwindle it down to 2 or 3? I might, but at the same time, those are the 4. They did really well. I think that I had a total of 6 or 7. So some of them did not make it, and that's okay. Now I know which ones do well, because if I want to get tomato sauce for a year, I have to have tomatoes in place that's going to produce. So that's my plan. The beans. I think I could have really hit my bean goal, except for nature did me in. There was nothing I could have done different. I don't think another variety would have made a difference. Or maybe it would have. I can't say that because I didn't try it. But I do think, and from my previous experience, that I would have hit my bean goal, but I didn't. So with that being the case, definitely growing black beans again next year, but in more places. Like I think we'll have quite a few, maybe 2 to 3 green stalks of black beans and still have some out in the garden because I want a good amount of black beans. I'm really focusing on growing what we eat. And if that means my garden and my spaces look redundant, that's okay. It's okay for me because I want to grow what we eat. And so black beans definitely gonna come back. We might look for different bush bean varieties to see if we can get something that's a little more productive. Now, what I will tell you is I don't like stringy beans. And so if it's stringy, I'm not gonna eat it. I have grown green varieties that was just stringy, and I'm not eating stringy green beans. And I'm also not sitting and pulling out the strings while I clean them. It's too much work, not gonna happen. So we might look for other bean varieties too, but I'm not disappointed this year. You know, the nature gonna do what nature gonna do. I say that all the time. Just like I never ended up spraying the neem oil on the peppers, and now the aphids and ants have moved on. Albeit to my corn, they've moved on. And so for me, it is what it is. But yeah, we didn't come close to the beans. I don't think it's anything I could have done this year to change that because, you know, nature. Same thing with peppers. Now, with the peppers though, we got a nice harvest out of them. We just didn't get to the red, orange, and yellow that we wanted, which is what I said earlier in the video. But I wouldn't say that growing these pepper varieties wasn't good. And they were California Wonder and something else, Grand Bale. They were great, right? They produced great. I just couldn't get them to ripen within my area. And it could have been, we were very hot. We are very humid. We have also, in the last few weeks, been very wet. Last 2 weeks, really, been very wet. So that probably, you know, had something to do with it too. So I think I've had my best garden year ever. But when you look at my goals, I did not. But I still think I had the best garden year ever. Goals gone out of the window. I still think it was the best garden year because I have way more tomatoes than I have ever had in the freezer that needs to be processed, which people are asking me to do a sauce video. I will, but it's going to be in the off season. I am only really processing things that can't go in the freezer right now. So that's what that is. Or the freeze dryer, because I just decided we're not running that freeze dryer in all of this heat. My house was already hot enough. And the freeze dryer does give off heat. So with that being the case, we didn't run it through the summer, which is kind of a bummer for me. But what I did do is freeze things so that when the temperatures decrease and cool off, I could just start pulling stuff out of the freezer and put it in the freeze dryer. So yeah, you know, it is what it is. I have to work with what I have. I don't have a house that has a space where I can put that, and I don't have outbuildings. I don't have any of that stuff. So my freeze dryer is in my kitchen, in case you new here. So I did not run it during the summer. But we got all kinds of stuff in the freezer. We got quail eggs in the freezer. We have herbs in the freezer. We have tomato sauce in the freezer. We have peppers in the freezer. All kinds of stuff in the freezer. Once it cools off, it's all gonna start running through the freeze dryer. So it's cool. Okay, so what did I think about my ways that I fertilized this year? Let's move so y'all don't gotta keep looking at me in the same spot. So what did I think about the way that I fertilized this year? For the most part this year, I used meal grinds, I used rabbit manure, and I used granulated fertilizer. They were two different ones throughout this season. So slow release organic granulated fertilizer. That's what I used this year. It's been my best garden year. I gotta say, it's either the rabbit manure or the meal grinds, or it's both of them together. People have been asking about the meal. The meal is a food recycler. It is not a composter. I like to say that. It's not changing the food from like food into soil, because that's essentially what compost is. It is just dehydrating the food, making it small and making it into smaller pieces. And that way, when you put it into your soil, it breaks down quicker and easier. But it is not. Basically, once you put it in your soil, it's finishing the compost process. It's not compost when you get it out of the meal. But what I can say is, it's been my best year. It's been my best year. Between the rabbit manure, which we got the rabbits in January, I think. So between the rabbit manure, the meal grinds, and the balanced liquid fertilizer, I haven't used any fish emulsion. Like, I was married to fish emulsion, y'all. I use fish emulsion on my leafy greens, but on this garden, I am pretty sure I haven't used any fish emulsion. We switched to a balanced fertilizer. I think it makes a difference. It definitely, I feel, made a difference in my garden. Between the amendments I put in the soil and that balanced fertilizer, it's been a great garden year. So that's my review on that. And you are looking at a person who was married to fish emulsion, did not think it mattered if I changed my fertilizer when things started flowering. That's who you talking to. And oh my goodness, and was an avid black cow purchaser. And I still will if I need it, but I haven't needed it. And it's been a great year, y'all. So I still love fish emulsion. You're gonna definitely see me using it on my fall garden. I just didn't see that it was needed in my summer garden, and so I didn't use it. And and my garden did great. My garden did great. So that's my review on switching those things up. And I'm happy that I'm learning this stuff for myself. So like, you can see somebody say it. Y'all can sit here and listen to me say it. And it also doesn't mean that just because it worked for me, it's gonna work for you. But it worked. It worked really well for me this year. All right, let's talk about growing in my greenhouses. So you can see behind me, this was my first year growing in the summer in my Bootstrap Farmer greenhouse. So last year I did grow in the fall in here, and then I grew in the spring. It was my first time growing in. So technically it was my first time growing all of the seasons so far in the greenhouse. I love it, y'all. I absolutely love it. I feel like the plants definitely thrive a little bit better. My tomato plants towards the back did really bad in here, but the tomato plants that were like in the middle and coming to the front, they did amazingly. I got a lot of harvest out of here. I pulled them early because I was not eating them, y'all. We were not eating those cherry tomatoes fresh. And so with that being the case, we probably will not do a lot of cherry tomatoes. The Rosellas were absolutely delicious. Someone sent me those seeds. They were really good, but we weren't eating them like fresh. We were eating the slicers. Like I was eating tomato and bacon sandwiches. I was eating the cucumber. Now that I think about it, I could have put them into the cucumber, tomato, and feta cheese salad. I didn't think about that. What I ended up doing was freezing them. And then once the plant started looking bad, I just pulled them out of here. So the tomatoes, I would not put tomatoes to the back. I probably would put, let's say, like peppers to the back. For one, they don't like a lot of water and they can deal with some heat. So next year, I'll probably push peppers closer to the back, but like the peppers are doing great in here. We did have ants and aphids in here too, and they have also like pretty much moved on. I see a few, but nothing like we were seeing. Peppers did amazing in here. The watermelon are trying, but if you remember, I'm not great at growing watermelon. That's gonna be number one. And now, Brooklyn done went over there and dug it up and she sits in it. She really likes this area. It's probably cooler. It's being covered and I have shade cloth on it. So it was probably cooler for her. I absolutely love having this. I don't know that it's 100% necessary for the summer. Someone asked me that, like in Virginia, do you really need a greenhouse? I wouldn't say that it's necessary, but it's definitely nice to have. I do think that it is helpful in the winter though. I will tell you that, the winter and the spring, because for spring, you can get your crops out earlier, because if you're in Virginia, you know that we go from spring to summer real quick. So you can get them out earlier than you could just like out in the elements, and you can grow a spring harvest. This is where I finally successfully grew cabbage. And so, yeah, I absolutely love this. I love that the sides rolled up. I love that I was able to put shade cloth over it really, really easily. And I'm excited that these plants still look really good in here, and we are in August. But a lot of my plants really still look really good. But if you saw the plants that were out in the main garden, like the pepper plants, these are much fuller. Let me show you. So these are Big Bertha, much fuller. Same thing in here, much fuller. So I believe the heat helped with this, and the fact that we didn't have ants and aphids like talking about in here. It's really just this plant right here. Not sure what's going on with it. We didn't have ants and aphids in here like talking about either. And I was able to control the moisture in here once we started getting a lot of rain. Oh, by the way, we had an eggplant in here that did great too. I'm not harvesting this eggplant anymore. We do now have flea beetles coming through. They are in here. So it is what it is, but the plant still grows. It does it every year. And we have quite a few watermelon in here too. I don't know, you see that one right there? And it's like 2 over there. So I'm honestly just hoping to get them to harvest. So we will see how that goes. But yeah. Greenhouse growing in this greenhouse was absolutely amazing. Greenhouse growing in the quick tent greenhouse, which is the one right over there. I've had it for a while. The growing went well for the things that could deal with a little bit of shade. The things that could deal with a little bit of shade was patio tomatoes. We're gonna go over there and look. So I am pretty excited about that. I needed to water in there. Lots of things need to happen in there, but we're going to take a day and go through that greenhouse and figure out what we're going to do in there. In the fall, early spring, I'm going to try to see if I can get these trees cut again. We will see how that goes, because I have been trying. The only reason why I have not been able to grow whatever I want to grow in there is because it's getting shaded by a tree up here, if you're not new here. So with that being the case, patio tomatoes will definitely go back in there next year. They grew just fine in there. And I'm also going to like make this a herb greenhouse. Herbs can deal with a little bit of shade, and so that's what I'm going to do too. Just because there's a little bit of a obstacle in my way, which is these trees, does not mean that I cannot use that space. And so with that being the case, we're gonna do patio tomatoes in there, and we are going to change it over to herbs. Let's go look in there. We also had this roselle in here, but y'all, I just kind of was like, whatever, it is what it is. It's very late in the season now. It's not going to do what I need it to do at this point. I am going to pull that out. But these are our patio tomatoes, and if you see back there, we got a red one. They're still growing, still producing in here. You see that? I need to come and grab that. Also need to clean the plants up a little bit, but they are actually, you know, still producing new tomatoes. I also need to water in here. That's my fault. All of this brown you're seeing is my fault. And last but not least, what did I think about how I grew in my green stalks? I think they grew amazingly. I think that every season that I have grown in them, so I got green stalks last year, 2025, sometime in like April or May of 2025, that's when I got my first green stalk. I have loved them ever since. They are making it feasible for me to grow all the things that I want and to be able to preserve things. I think that having them gave me the space, or is giving me the space, to plant a lot of the stuff that I want to preserve for a while, but still also be able to grow other things like pretty flowers. I said this earlier this season, like flowers, a bunch of beans, bunch more peppers, things like that. So right now I have 17 of them. And someone told me at some point, like, it just seemed like a waste of money. And for that person's situation, it is possible that for them, it is a waste of money, because maybe they have space to just plant everything they want wherever they want it. But for me, in 2 square feet of space, I would not be able to plant 30 plants. I think that they have definitely helped me to increase my harvest. I'm very, very happy with them. I would tell anybody, if you are growing in a small space, and I know people keep saying that my space is not small, but for my goals, for what I want, this is a small space for me. And so with that being the case, they have definitely came through and helped me to grow more in my space that I have, which is allowing me to preserve tomatoes and things. Really only tomatoes this year, because the rest of the stuff didn't do great. Preserve herbs for a year. All of my herbs are in these 2 green stalks. That's the only place I have herbs right now. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to preserve herbs for a year out of these green stalks. And these are actually the 7-tier green stalks. So the only thing that I changed this year with my green stalks is I went ahead and leveled them and put them onto pavers. And that, like I said earlier, that was about to be the one thing I dislike about green stalks, because the ones over here were falling over. They fell over twice. But once I got them level, so you do gotta give them level. It is what it is. Y'all know me, I don't like to level nothing. I don't like to do no extra work. But you do have to get them level or they gonna fall over. But also, these were not level for a very long time and they didn't fall over. Only one fell over one time, and that one wasn't level either. Anyway, sorry y'all. I think that having them, definitely I had a bed full of beans out here, right? But I also had another green stock, 2 green stocks full of beans. That's what helped me get a half a gallon. I think that's what size that jar is. I'm gonna fix it on the screen if it's not. That's what helped me be able to get that many. So for me, this is not a waste of money. And if I could fit more back here, I'm gonna put some more back here. Because you gotta remember, I'm trying to grow things for a year. I'm trying to not buy certain things from the grocery store if I don't have to. And it is natural food that I am growing. So for me, green stalks, absolutely worth it. And I enjoy growing in them. Definitely getting ready to start clearing these out too, but I have to turn my attention now to the veg. Y'all should see this beautiful butterfly. Let me see if I can zoom in for you. Do y'all see her? She's beautiful and huge. She gone. Oh, she was absolutely beautiful. Anyway, and she was yellow. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. Anyway, yeah, green stalks plus greenhouses plus Those trellises over there, did not love them. Tomato cages, absolutely. Cattle panel, absolutely. Hortonova trellis, love that. Yeah, anyway, yeah. It was a great year. Overall, great year. Not if you look at my goals, but great year in the way of production. And so, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.